Subscribe if you dare. The bus that never arrives, passengers of the dead. Have you ever heard of a bus that never reaches its destination? A bus that picks up passengers who never realize they were never meant to arrive. This is the story of Bus 88. Locals whisper about it, sometime late at night in certain terminals across the provinces. Bus 88 appears, no schedule, no route posted. No one remembers seeing it before. But when it arrives, it looks perfectly normal. Engine running, headlights on, the conductor calling for passengers. Manila, Sakay na po, last trip. It always appears when someone is desperate, someone stranded, someone lost, someone running from something. And once you get on, you never get off. The story starts with Carlo, a call center agent heading back to Manila after visiting family in La Union. He stayed late, missed the last bus. His phone was dead, his wallet barely enough for food, much less a hotel. As the clock struck midnight, the terminal was empty. Everyone had left, except for the sudden rumble of an engine. Headlights, a bus pulled in. White body, faded blue stripes, the number 88 painted on the side. The conductor leaned out. Manila, last trip, Sakay na. Carlo hesitated. It wasn't on the schedule board, but he was exhausted, no choice. He got on. The inside was unusually clean, pristine even, curtains perfectly drawn, seats freshly upholstered. The air smelled old, like incense and rain. Only 5 other passengers were there, quiet, all staring ahead. As Carlo sat, he noticed their skin looked pale, their eyes sunken, their faces expressionless. The driver never looked back. The door hissed shut, the engine roared, and the bus drove off into the night. At first, everything seemed normal. Trees passing, streetlights fading in the distance. But soon, Carlo realized something strange. No matter how long they drove, there were no towns, no intersections, no gas stations, no signs, just endless road. Fog began to roll in, thick, suffocating. Then the conductor walked down the aisle. Pamasapo. Carlo handed his bill. The conductor took it, stared at him, and then smiled. A smile too wide, teeth too many. Bayad po natanggap na. But the money vanished. The conductor never placed it in a box. It just disappeared into his hand. Then Carlo noticed something horrifying. His own hands looked paler, his breath visible, his chest heavy. He checked his reflection on the window, and for a split second, his reflection didn't move with him. Carlo tried to speak to the passenger across from him. Kuya, ilang oras pa po ito? No answer. The man slowly turned. His face had no mouth, just smooth skin where the mouth should be. It stared, then it tilted its head and cracked, loud bones snapping. Panic surged. Carlo rushed to the front. Manong, para na po. The driver didn't respond. His hands locked on the wheel, his head completely rotated backwards. His face, a skull, flesh stretched tight with empty eye sockets. Carlo tried the door, jammed. Then the conductor appeared, blocking him, grinning. Saan ka pupunta? Hindi pa tayo tapos. Suddenly, the windows went black. Not like night, black like there was nothing outside. Then the aisle began to stretch, literally. The further Carlo tried to walk, the longer the aisle grew. Seats duplicating, the passengers multiplying, all turning to stare, some headless, some eyeless, some with jaws unhinged hanging to their chests. They all whispered, Sama ka na, may upuan pa, walang baba dito. Then Carlo's seatbelt snapped closed around him, tight, cutting into his skin. The conductor leaned in, his face now hollow, his voice a hiss. Tuloy lang, hanggang dulo. Hanggang, wala ka na. A sudden screech. The bus stopped. A door hissed open. But outside, nothing. Just darkness. Endless, cold darkness. Passengers began walking off, vanishing into the void. Carlo refused. He stayed, shaking, praying. The conductor smiled one last time. Ikaw? Matapang? Pero lahat bumababa rin. Then the lights flickered. The bus began to drive in reverse. Faster, faster. The world outside warped. Time bent. Then, bang! The sound of a crash, glass shattered, metal twisted. Silence. Carlo woke up. On the side of a highway. Ambulances, police, lights. A horrific bus crash. He was the only one alive. The paramedic said, "Sir, suerte ka. Lahat ng pasahero. Patay." Carlo looked at the wreck. It wasn't bus 88. It was his regular bus. But as he turned, far behind, in the fog, he saw headlights. A white bus. Blue stripes. Number 88. Just sitting there. Empty. Waiting. People report seeing bus 88 at terminals across the Philippines. Always late at night. Always when you're alone. You'll never get off. Because bus 88 doesn't go to Manila. It only goes one way. The road of no return. The island that appears only at night. The curse of Isla del Silencio. They say that somewhere off the coast of the Philippines, there's an island that only appears when the sun goes down. It's not on any map. It's not mentioned in history books. Locals call it Isla del Silencio, the island of silence. It's not silence because it's peaceful. No, it's silent. Because no one ever comes back to tell what happens there. The story begins with a group of amateur sailors, Luis, Jam, Erica, and Paolo. Adventurous, young, reckless. They were traveling around the Visayas, filming abandoned places for their YouTube channel. During a stop at a small fishing village in Antique, an old man told them about the island. "You won't find it during the day," the man said, staring at the sea. "But when the moon rises, sometimes it shows itself. Right there, beyond the fog. But if you step foot on that island, pray you make it back before sunrise. Or you won't come back at all." Naturally, they were intrigued, and of course they didn't believe it. So, when the sun set and the sky turned deep blue, they rented a small boat and went searching. For an hour, nothing but open water. But then, there it was, a silhouette rising from the mist, an island that hadn't been there before. Shoreline, trees, an old dock broken and rotted, yet somehow still standing. They anchored the boat and stepped onto the dock. The moment they did, the wind stopped. The waves went still. Not a sound, no birds, no insects, just crushing, oppressive silence. Even their own footsteps felt muted. "Creepy but cool," Jam laughed, trying to shake off the tension. They pushed forward, into the jungle. The deeper they walked, the more they noticed the trees were dead, not cut, not burned, just dead. Branches twisted unnaturally, leaves dry and brittle, and scattered among them were statues. Hundreds, maybe thousands. Statues of people, men, women, children, all frozen mid-motion. Some with their hands covering their faces. Some appearing to scream, mouths open, eyes wide in terror. But there was one detail that made their blood run cold. These statues weren't made of stone. They were real, petrified. Flesh turned to ash-colored rock. Panic crept in. "Guys, I don't think this is a prank," Erica whispered. Then came the whisper, but not from the wind. From everywhere and nowhere. A voice, dry, hollow. "Stay. Stay. Forever." They spun around. Nothing. But one statue was now facing them. It wasn't before. "It moved," Paolo stammered. Another whisper. "You saw us. Now you belong here." Then, the ground trembled. From the shadows, figures began to emerge. Not fully human. Thin, long, stretching as if their limbs had no bones. Their faces were blank, skin gray, cracking, mouths stitched shut. They crawled out from the ground, from the trees, from the shadows, surrounding them. A chorus of whispers grew louder. "Stay, stay, stay." Louis tried to run back to the boat, but the dock was gone. Nothing but open water. The island had expanded, swallowing it. The group sprinted through the jungle, desperate, but the island warped around them. Paths that weren't there before, trees rearranging, and the statues, they began to turn their heads, one by one, slowly, their eyes following. Some statues began to crack, then moved. They reached an open field. In the center was a church, old, crumbling. Its bell tower cracked, but as they approached, the bell rang. Dong, once. Dong, twice. And with every toll, The air grew colder. The shadows grew longer. Inside the church was an altar, but instead of a cross hung something else. A figure, crucified upside down, its face covered in a sack, its arms broken backward. From under the sack, dozens of whispering mouths peeked out, moving, whispering, "You came, you heard, now you stay." The figure's body convulsed. It tore itself off the crucifix, limbs snapping, bones cracking backward. It crawled toward them. Erica collapsed, frozen in fear. The creature reached her, touched her foot, and her skin turned gray. Her body stiffened. Her eyes turned solid white. She became a statue. Louis grabbed Paolo and Jam. "Run!" The church walls cracked. Shadow hands burst from them, grabbing, pulling. Paolo tripped. Hands dragged him into the floor itself. His screams cut off instantly. Jam and Louis ran until their lungs burned. And then they saw it. The shoreline, the boat, floating. But between them and the boat stood dozens of statues. And they were walking, slowly, closing the distance. Whispers everywhere. "Stay, stay, stay." Louis shoved Jam forward. "Go!" Jam jumped onto the boat. Louis was right behind. But as his foot hit the deck, a hand shot from the water, gray, cracked, gripping his ankle. Louis screamed, pulled, but more hands joined. From the boat's shadow, Jam tried to help, but Louis's face stiffened. His scream turned silent. His skin turned to gray stone. His last expression, frozen in terror. Jam revved the motor. The boat surged forward. As the island began to sink, the statues, the church, the trees, all crumbling, fading back into the fog, until it was gone. Jam drifted for hours. When the sun rose, he saw the mainland. Fishermen found him. They asked, "Where did you come from?" when he pointed. There was nothing, just open sea. No one believed him. But sometimes, when the fog rolls in just right, the island appears again. And when it does, you might hear it. The bell. Dong. And the whisper. Stay forever. And if you do, you'll become part of the island. A statue in Isla del Silencio. The house that wasn't there yesterday. The curse of Bahay sa Kanto. There's a house in Manila. At least, it's there sometimes. It's not listed on any street directory. No one knows who owns it. It doesn't show up in satellite images, but if you pass by a certain corner in an old barangay, sometimes, especially on foggy nights, the house is there. Locals call it Bahay sa Kanto. The house at the corner. Perfectly ordinary. White walls, blue gate, 2 stories, windows slightly open, curtains swaying. But the rule is simple. No matter what happens, no matter who you see inside, never step foot through that gate, because everyone who does never comes back. This story starts with Darren, a Grab driver, just another normal night shift. He was driving down that barangay when his app glitched. Recalculating, rerouting. The roads didn't make sense. Then, it appeared, a house that wasn't there yesterday. It looked out of place, clean, perfect, like it had just been built yesterday, but at the same time, older than the city itself. And standing by the gate was a little girl, crying. Kuya tulong nawawala si mama. Darren pulled over, his instinct kicked in. Of course he wanted to help. Anong ba ito? Wala naman to kahapon. No answer, just the girl, sobbing, pointing to the gate. Andun si mama sa loob, tulungan mo po kami. Darren's conscience battled his fear. Against better judgment, he opened the gate, stepped in. And the moment his foot crossed the boundary, the sound of the city vanished. Gone were the cars, the motorcycles, the noise of Manila. Silence. The front door opened by itself. Hello, my tao po ba? No answer. The living room was pristine, spotless, furniture covered in plastic. A portrait of a family hung on the wall, but the faces were scratched out. Deep, violent scratches. A radio played, static, mixed with faint whispers. Darren? 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 His name, spoken from nowhere. He spun around. No one. Then, footsteps upstairs. Mama! The girl's voice echoed. Darren followed the sound, slowly climbing the wooden staircase. Each step creaked, but only under his foot. The rest of the house stayed eerily silent. At the top of the stairs, a hallway, 4 doors, one slightly ajar, flickering light from inside. He pushed it open. And there, sitting on the bed, was the girl. The same girl who was outside, but how? He turned back to check if the girl was still behind him, but the hallway was gone. Nothing behind him, just a blank wall. The girl looked up. Her face was wrong. Skin pale, cracked. Her eyes all black, mouth too wide. Sabi ko, tulungan mo kami. Her head tilted all the way until it cracked. Then she screamed, a scream that wasn't a sound. It was inside his head, voices layered over voices. Tumaloy ka na. Wag kang alis, dito ka na. Dito ka na. Doors slammed shut, lights flickered, the walls began to bleed. Yes, actual blood, oozing from the paint. The floors shifted, the hallway stretched, rooms duplicated. Every door Darren opened led back to the same room. Same bed, same girl, same cracked face. But every time, something was different. In one version, the girl was headless. In another, she hung from the ceiling, swaying. In another, she sat. But behind her stood shadowy figures. Tall, thin, watching, no faces. The whispers grew louder. Hindi ka na makakaalis. Ikaw na ang susunod. Wala nang labasan dito. Then a knock, not on the door, but from under the floorboards. Slow, heavy knock, knock, knock. Then the floorboards cracked open. A hand pale rotten, fingers long, nails black. It reached out, clawing the air. Another hand. Then a face. Half skull, half flesh, eyes hollow, mouth open in a permanent scream. It crawled out, bones snapping as it twisted unnaturally. Darren ran, but every turn was the same endless hallways, same furniture, same paintings. The scratched faces seemed to watch him now. Then, a staircase but going down. Down deeper than the house should have allowed. Stone steps covered in moss, wet, smelling of rot. At the bottom, a massive room. Thousands of shoes piled, scattered. Men's shoes, women's shoes, children's shoes, all covered in dust, all belonging to someone who never left. Then, in the middle of the room, a mirror covered in cloth compelled. Darren lifted the cloth and the mirror didn't show his reflection. It showed somewhere to the living room, and in it, the recent lost his own body. Sitting on the couch, eyes wide open, mouth agape, not moving. His body, but his soul was here, inside, trapped forever. The voices laughed. Ikaw na nayon ang bagong bantay ng bahay. Bantay, bantay, bantay. Then, everything went black. The next morning, people walked past the corner. No house, just an empty lot. Overgrown, cracked sidewalk. Nothing there. But a grab car, parked, abandoned, keys still in the ignition. Driver, gone. No sign of Darren. Locals whisper, if you ever pass by Bahay sa Kanto, and if it happens to be there, never, ever step inside, or you, like the others, will become part of the house. A whisper in the walls, a shadow behind the curtains, a name forgotten, forever. The number you should never call. The curse of 0999-9999. There's a phone number in the Philippines, whispered about in internet forums, urban legends, and old stories passed from one barangay to another. It's never listed. You won't find it in any directory, but sometimes late at night it appears, in random ways, on a crumpled paper slipped under your door, on a receipt from a store you never visited, or even as a random text, 0999999999. No area code, no explanation, and always with the same message. Wag mong tawagan, kahit anong mangyari, wag. Don't call, no matter what happens. Don't. But of course, someone always does. This is the story of Kenneth, a student in Quezon City. Logical, skeptical, didn't believe in ghosts, curses, or anything supernatural. One evening, Kenneth received a text. Tumawag ka kung gusto mong malaman ang katotohanan. No sender name, just the number, 09999999. At first he laughed, probably a prank, probably spam. But when he tried to delete the message, his phone froze, glitched, screen flickered. Then it rebooted itself, and when it turned back on, the message was still there. Curiosity won. Subukan ko lang, wala namang mawawala, he muttered. He dialed. The call connected instantly. No rings, no waiting, just static. Then, a voice, dry, hollow, whispering, "Thank you for calling. You shouldn't have." The line crackled. Then, loud, distorted screams. Hundreds, maybe thousands of voices layered over each other, crying, pleading, "Tulungan mo kami, wag kang sumunod sa amin." Kenneth panicked, tried to hang up. The screen wouldn't respond. Then, a whisper, directly into his ear. "Nakita ka na namin, paparating na kami." The call ended by itself. That night, strange things began. His phone camera turned on by itself, snapping photos every few minutes. When Kenneth checked the gallery, photos of his room, his bed, his desk. But in one photo, there was a figure, standing. In the corner, a shadow, pale, thin, no face, watching. Then, the knocks started. Tock, tock, tock. Not from the door, from the window. Fourth floor, no balcony, no ledge, just knocking. When he pulled the curtain, no one but a handprint, cold, oily, on the glass. Next day, he tried to tell his friends. They didn't believe him until one of them checked his own phone. In the recent calls, the number was there, 0999-9999, but he never called it. Then his phone rang, unknown caller, static. Then a voice, "Sana hindi ka nakisali, pero andito ka na." From that point on, it spread. Everyone in the group started getting calls, started hearing the knocks, started seeing the figure. Some began dreaming the same nightmare. A long hallway, pitch black, lined with phones, all ringing, nonstop. And at the end of the hallway, a booth, old, rusted. Inside it, a person, or what used to be a person. Skin torn, mouth sewn shut, fingers broken backward, holding a receiver. But the line was endless. No matter how hard the person tried, they couldn't hang up, forced to stay on the call, forever. One of Kenneth's friends, Marco, tried something desperate. He broke his phone, smashed it, burned the SIM. It worked. For a day. Then his landline rang. An old phone, not even connected, but it rang. He picked it up. "Di ka basta-basta makakatakas. Lahat ng tumawag. May kabayaran." One by one, the group disappeared. First, Marco went to sleep. Never woke up when his family checked. His phone was gripped in his hand. Screen cracked, face frozen, eyes wide open. Then Jean, found in her apartment surrounded by dozens of burned SIM cards. Her ears, bleeding, her eyes, missing. Kenneth ran, deleted everything, changed numbers, switched cities, but no matter where he went, his phone always found him, even when turned off. The screen flickered, the number appeared. 0999-9999. Hindi pa tapos. Hindi ka makakatakas. Then one night, his phone rang, and this time it wasn't static. It was his own voice, screaming, begging, "Tulungan mo ako, wag mong sagutin, wag mong." But, too late. He had already answered. Kenneth's body was found days later, sitting, eyes open, phone to his ear. No sign of struggle, no injuries, just dead. Autopsy report, unknown cause. Police checked his phone, one number. In the call history, 0999-9999. When investigators tried calling, the line never connected. Just endless ringing, or sometimes a voice whispering, "Ikaw na ang susunod." To this day, people swear the number still appears, sometimes as a missed call, sometimes as a message, "Call me." If you're lucky, you ignore it. If you're unlucky, curiosity wins. And when you call, you become part of the line forever. If you enjoyed this terrifying story, let us know in the comments below. Hit that like button to help us bring more cursed tales and dark legends to life. Don't forget to share this video with your friends, but warn them first. And if you dare, subscribe to this channel, because here in Pinoy Phobia, the horror never ends. Turn on the notification bell, so you never miss the next cursed story, spine-chilling folklore, or true paranormal encounter from the shadows of the Philippines. Remember, some stories are meant to be heard, but others are meant to be warnings. Thank you for watching, and remember, Whatever happens, don't look back.